Hi guys, we're going to go over some suggestions about when you're setting up your second web conference of how you might want to go about doing it. So right now you need to go to your web conference, the Right State WebEx portal, and the address for that is right.webex.com. And when you come to this portal, just click on sign in, put your email address, and go ahead and click on sign in. And it will take you to the portal. So the first thing you want to do is go ahead and schedule a meeting. And I'm going to ask that you don't use your personal room to get some experience setting it up, because you have more options. So when I click on schedule a meeting, we're going to go ahead and give it a name. So I'm going to call this web conference to Stover. And then you need to come down and give it a date and a time. In this case, I want to do it now, so that's okay, but you'll set up the date, the calendar date here, and then the time over here, and then the duration, all right? And then you're going to come and put the email addresses of your attendees. So your group members should be the ones that are your fake students. And so those are Right State students. And when you're using Right State emails within the system, it works and plays very nicely together. And so make sure you're using their Right State emails. In this case, I'm doing an outside student because I can't do it with my own. And you can do things like add an agenda if you want, but looking down at security, you can exclude the password from the email if you want. In this case, it's an outside student, so I need to include it. And then another option would be to have guests wait in the lobby until the hosts admit them. I'm going to go ahead and allow, I'm going to do the lobby so that you guys can see that. And you've got some other functions down there. You can look through them, but those are, not necessary. And I'll go ahead and hit start. And I've got the meeting started then. And the email is sent to your fake students. They will get it. And then you guys should have a set time in the future. And you will log in probably about a half an hour ahead of time, get it all set up. And then your students, your fake students, will log in. Okay, after you get your session set up, you need to go in a little bit early and get it set up. And once it's set up, you will see that you had set this one up for students to wait in the lobby. And you'll get a notification here at the top. And we'll go ahead and click let in, and that allows the student to come in. Now, before the session starts, there should have been some things you should have done before it started, but I needed to show you how to let that student in. So let me go through. At the website in Pilot, there are general things that need to be done by each and every web conference, but then there's always specific things for each and every session. So go into Pilot and review all the specific things that you need to do for this session. It's listed in Pilot, but in general, the second web conference is a synchronous session where you will have fake students in, and you will be using tools to assess their knowledge. So what's different about this web conference compared to the first? In the first web conference, it was asynchronous. The moderator / facilitator / instructor was in by themselves, and it was them that were using the tools to highlight sections of the slide. In this session, it is about using the tools, but having the students use the tools. So the teacher may say, circle the right answer, or use the poll to select the right answer, or write in the right answer, but it's always the student that is using the tools and not the facilitator. So the organizer, facilitator, instructor will demonstrate their knowledge of the tools by coaching their fake students in using these tools. So you need at least 2 fake students, and everyone in the class is required to be a fake student in at least 2. So chances are you're probably going to be attending more than just 2, but that's the minimum requirement. So students are going to use tools such as raise hand, text chat, reactions, emoticons, annotation tools such as arrow, text, draw, pen, the talk tool, and polling, at least 2 polling tools. So before the class, I always, as I'm developing my session, I always have a cheat sheet that I don't show everybody. That's a cheat sheet for me to remind me what I need to do ahead of time before the session starts. So in this session, I made myself a cheat sheet that I needed to do all these 6 things, and I'll show you how each one of these things is done. I have a separate slide. So first of all, in the pre-class, you need to set up the web conference system, which we just did a minute ago. You saw in the previous video, so I won't do it. Then what you need to do is you need to create and save the WebEx polls, because the last thing you need to be doing is in the middle of the session typing out the questions, typing out the answers. It would just be so boring to do that. So you need to do those ahead of time, save them, and then retrieve them so they're all ready to rock and roll when the session is going. So to do that, you go up to the top, step number 1 up here, and you click on Show Menu Bar to actually display that menu bar. Step number 2, you actually have to select Panels, Manage Panels, and then step number 3, you actually select the polling and you add, okay, this displays polling for you to be able to do it. So once polling is displayed, step number 4, you would come down here at the bottom on the right-hand side and select the question type. You don't have a huge amount of choices with the polling in WebEx, but in the next web conference, I'll show you a way to do more robust questions. So at this point, you only have multiple choice, single answer. You have multiple choice, multiple answers, and short answers. So I'm going to select single answers at this point. Select on new, then you type in the question, hit enter, hit the possible answers, click save. You navigate to the folder, give it a meaningful name so that you could pull it up at a later date. You continue to add all the questions you're going to add, and you save it. You could do this 3 days, a year before, and they're ready to go, and you should do it ahead of time. So that's how you save them. And then what you want to do before the session starts is import those previously saved WebEx questions so that they're ready to go. And to do that, you go over, first of all, you have to, if you need to, activate the polling like you did before. And then you click on step number 1, you click on open the poll questions. Step number 2, you go navigate what you had saved before. Step number 3, you click on open the poll when you're ready to do it during the session. But that might be at the end of the session if you need to. And then you're going to share your PowerPoint slides. This is all done before the session starts. You should do this actually log in early before students are even in there so that it's all set to go. So to do that, you're in the session, you click on share. Step number 1. Step number 2, you click on share file. Step number 3, you click on file. And you go navigate for the file and you upload it. So that's how you share the file. And that's what I'm doing actually right now. Then what you need to do is this is before the session starts. The students will be using the annotation tools for student utilization. By default, those are usually not active, so you have to activate them. So step number 1, you have to click on show menu bar up at the top. Step number 2, you click on participant. Step number 3, you click on assign privileges. Step number 4, you click on the controls tab, which by default is not showing. Step number 5, you have to select annotate if it's not selected. Obviously, if it's selected, you don't need to do it again, but just verify it's selected. And step number 6, you click on OK. That will set it up so that students have at least the permission. And then you're going to, once students are in there and you're ready to go, you need to start your video, start your microphone, start the record. So step number 1, you would click on start video. Step number 2, you would click on unmute. Now, to the right of these, there's a little down arrow that you can click and make sure, and again, you should do this ahead of time, that the right microphone and the right video is selected. So in the video, if you click your little down arrow, make sure the right video is selected. And if you click the little down arrow next to the microphone, make sure the right microphone is selected. Again, all done before the session starts. Now, once you're ready to go and you've got it all set up, you can, I like to do it ahead of time so I'm not stressed. Then students start to log in, or you let them in from the lobby. And then the last thing you would do before you start your session is click record, and you get started. So that's all the things you need to do ahead of time. All right. You click record, students are in there, and you get started. So you always want to have an opening slide, and this would be displayed for the students. Make sure you've got the course name, the date here, time here, have a setup so that students know anything they need to do to get started. Remind, if you want to have a slide to remind them to remove distractions. If you're coming from home, these are all optional slides. I like to do the take a deep breath. That's completely optional for you. These introductory, now you do want to have a quality check slide just to verify that students see the record going on, and then check that the slides are advancing, and a check that they can hear you adequately. So you absolutely do want to have a quality check slide, go through that with your students, and then you get started with your different phases. The first phase will be the triggering phase. So in the triggering phase, you're going to have a few information slides and then assessment slides all the way through. So in the triggering phase, you could include an activity to hook and hold the attention of your students. So obviously it's going to have the Beyond Bullet Point design with the title, the 2-line headline, and then some kind of a picture that's about hooking and holding them with the information. So a triggering event can also introduce students to the big idea. So you'll have a slide that's relevant to that used in the Beyond Bullet Point, like you're seeing here, with a title, a headline, and then an image. So then you will, after a couple of slides, you will start your activity slides. The activity slides should be interspersed all throughout the different presentation. After about 2 or 3 information slides, you will have an activity slide. So in this case, I'm going to, ask a question, and you would type your question on your slide here. You give your students directions. So in addition to giving verbal instructions, you should type the instructions on the slide because it minimizes cognitive load so students can follow along. Let's say they can't hear you very well, or they like to read at the same time, and also provide instructions for your virtual students. What do they need to do? So in this case, I would, say, here's my question, and here's how you guys answer it. You're going to raise your hand by going down to the middle of the slide, and virtual students, you can participate in this by including the information in your Miss Class summary. So students at this point, now I'm going to have to be going back and forth from computers so that you direct your students to do it. And you can see the student did put their hand up. Here's the fake student. You can see their hand up there, and you can see their hand up over here next to their hand. And so you call on Sherry Testy. All right, thank you for answering that question. Please put your hand down, and then you continue with the presentation. And then maybe you have another activity where you ask them to do a virtual activity where they do a think right activity where they say, you give them a reflection. All right, I want you to take a minute and take out a piece of paper and write your reflection to this prompt. And you give them the prompt, and they take out a piece of paper. Virtual students, you can participate by please including this information in your Miss Class summary. And then you continue. Some more triggering slide information. So again, following the Beyond Bullet Point, more information. Maybe it's an icebreaker that you include. All this is in the triggering. And then you can do another activity. So you write your question down here. You tell them how to answer it. In this case, you're going to ask them a question, and you're going to ask them to go to the text chat to answer that question. And you might, and virtual students, you go ahead and include this in your Miss Class summary. So you give them the question, what is your favorite color? Whatever question, bear with me. All right, so the virtual students then come over here. You probably need to click on the text chat to display that. and the test student answered their favorite question was yellow. Sometimes I'll do things like I'll say hold your answers, and then when I say enter, then they all come in if you don't want them to see it. So, and then maybe you do a reaction emoticon, like tell me how you're feeling. And so the student would come over and they would select an emoticon, so you can see the student's emoticon right there. The beautiful thing about emoticons is they just show up for a few seconds and then they disappear. But you do need to look, as the facilitator, you need to look pretty quickly. So moving on to the exploration phase, make sure that each one of these phases has a signaling slide. It should be a black slide with white text, and then you want to be silent for about 5 seconds because when part of this at the end of the class is you will pick some presentations to digitize, and you will need to add some chapters, and that allows you to identify where these sections are. So just be, silent for just a few seconds. And then you have some slides about what the exploration. Remember, the exploration is the most comfortable part of the presentation. It's what people are used to. This is the lecture part of it, but think of these as mini lectures or micro lectures, where you have just a few slides, 2 or 3 slides, and then a quick assessment. 2 or 3 slides of more information, and then assessment, and maybe 2 or 3 slides again, and then an assessment. Remember, you are not covering all the information in your textbook, just a few of the key ideas. So, few ideas for the exploration, and then an assessment. So you're going to type your question here, you give them the directions. In this case, we're going to use the annotation tool arrow. So the directions might be, go up in the right-hand corner, click on the assessment annotation, the annotation tool. Students will need to click on that to display it. So it displays it over there. And then you would tell them, in this case, we're going to do the arrow so that I don't have to keep going back and forth between my student computer and mine. I'm just going to go ahead and demonstrate it. And then they would say, this is the right answer. So you can continue. And then you have a few more slides, more information, and then another assessment. So in this case, you would have the question, the directions, information for the virtual students. So you would tell the students, continue using it. I want you to select the square shape, click right over here, click on the square, and I want you to pick the right answer. And so, you might want to call on Johnny or Sally to do this. And so continuing again, so it's the students that are doing this and not the instructor. So you get to the integration phase. The integration phase, again, you've got a signaling slide. You're quiet for a few seconds, and this is where you help. It's not just about sharing content. What does this content mean to them? Try to make connections to their discipline, or their personal life, or where students are making those connections. This is where you, so if you're talking about nursing and it was an academic subject about community of inquiry, well, now we're to this section where what does community of inquiry mean to the discipline, and if it's nursing, you make those connections. And so you might say, hey, this is important for us in our field because as nurses, we work at the hospitals, we work on teams with doctors and social workers, and it's important for us to have this community of inquiry. So you make those connections, maybe even to their personal life, but you're going to continually include assessments and interactions throughout it. So again, type the question or the little prompt, what the directions are, and how virtual students will do it. Maybe virtual students continually just include the information in their missed class summary. So in this case, we're going to use the pen tool. So you coach them to come over here in their annotation tools, click on the pen. You can even change the color. So in this case, it's already red text. So you probably want to coach them to pick a different color. So they're going to select the answer that they think, and then that prompts a good discussion. So again, some more slides to help them integrate it, more information. And so another tool is the annotation text tool. So maybe there's a few things or they have to type something in. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and click the text, and maybe they have to type in the answers. In this case, football might be their favorite, so they type something in. So the resolution phase is where you wrap things up. Again, have a signaling slide, roll right into the resolution. During this phase, you're going to wrap it up, conclude, summarize the big ideas of the class, but you're going to continue to have assessments or interactions during this phase too. So make sure the question or the prompt, the directions on how to do it, and directions how the virtual student should do. So in this case, maybe you're asking them, hey, we finished up, we went through this. Do you have any questions about the entire presentation? And you're going to coach the students to put their hand up at the bottom, their hand goes up, and then you're going to prompt them to click on their microphone and ask a question. So you're using that raise hand tool and the talk tool. Then you have to coach them to put their hand down when they're done. So again, a few more slides. So in the resolution, maybe you want to do a short assessment to evaluate the learning or the feelings of the participants afterwards. So in this case, you should be using the polling question in the middle, in the resolution section, to poll students about what they learned about the entire presentation, kind of a quiz at the end of it. So to pull up the polling, you need to activate it. So you're going to have to come down over here and click on View, and go down here to Panels, and then go down here to Manage It, and then click on Polling, click on Add, and you're adding it. Now that should have been done ahead of time. So in this case now, polling is now activated. You see it over here on the right. We don't see any polls. Again, you should do this before the session. I'm going to click on Open and go down and find the polls. I will pull one up. All right, so which is the best university? You coach students to answer the right question. They answer it. Let me go over here and answer it for my fake student. Oh, excuse me. One other thing you have to do is you have to open the poll so that students can see it. Okay, now the fake students can see it. Bear with me. They click on their answer, they click on submit, and then what happens is as the polls come in, you see, that it's one of one, selected Wright State University, go Raiders, and when you're done with it, you can close the poll, and it's closed, and you can share the results with the students, and they can see the results I'm looking over. So you would do another poll, and I'm going to go ahead and open it up. And there is a second poll that I wanted to do, and go ahead, and I don't want to save the results. The new question comes up and I have to open that poll. What are the Wright State colors? The student would come over here and answer. And you see that they answered green and gold. Yep, that's right. And we got the answers. And you can close the poll, and you have the option to share the results with the attendees, apply, and then the students can see the answers too. So that is the polling that you should include. And then be sure to provide instructions for virtual students, what they need to do, and also all students, what do they do after this session? So maybe you have another integration where you have a question for students. Maybe you're asking, all right, based on the presentation that you did, how are you going to use the information from this workshop in your real life? So take out a piece of paper and write and reflect on it. Virtual students, include this in your missed class summary. So you can always include those writing reflections as you go through. And then if you always want to stop and ask if anybody has any questions. So virtual students, be sure to email me with any questions. And then what you would want to do is coach the students to put their hand up or type in the text chat, or click on the microphone, however it is you want them to ask the questions. Be sure to thank everybody and conclude the session and what they need to do next. So that's what you would do in the second web conference. You would then, when you're done, you would stop the recording. It takes sometimes up to 24 hours for the session to show up. Then you're going to go into the Wright State WebEx portal. get that URL and post that in your self-reflection, and that's what you do for this assignment. All right, I'm looking forward to seeing it. Can't wait. Thanks, guys.